All right, welcome to this video. The point of this video, whether you're part of our one-on-one coaching program for neuropathy or whether you're just part of the free program for the neuropathy, this is an extremely important video for you to know, to take notes on. I'm going to provide you with notes that you can download and print. I've yet to find good artwork for the point that I want to get across, so you guys get to see my chicken scratch. And as you can see, I was not an art major, so I'm sorry to disappoint you. So what I want to accomplish today is, when we're done with the next few minutes, I want neuropathy to make sense to you, and I want chronic pain to make sense to you, because there are actually good explanations for what's going on, but more importantly, what are we going to do about it? So if you think about neuropathy, the main symptom that you're dealing with is numbness in your feet, but they hurt. So how can a foot feel numb but hurt? Well, I'm going to share that with you. So let's start here. Okay, let's start with just nerve anatomy 101, the very basics of nerves. Nerves are the wires that connect your brain to the rest of your body. So when we're talking about peripheral nerves, we are talking about nerves on the outside of your central nervous system. So if it leaves the spinal cord or if it leaves the brainstem, it is a peripheral nerve. Okay. Everything else is part of the central nervous system. So when we're talking about peripheral neuropathy, peripheral means outside of the central nervous system. Neuropathy means problem with the nerve. That's it. It's kind of a dumb thing to say because it really doesn't tell us why, and it certainly doesn't tell us what are we going to do about it. So when we look at a nerve, here is the basic building block of what a nerve looks like. You have what's called the cell body that's right here. That's kind of sunburst looking structure right here. That's your cell body. And then you have what's called an axon, which is the long skinny wire part. And then you have over here the actual nerve ending. This axon is extremely important because that's where the electrical signal is carried from your feet to your brain, or from your hands to your brain, or wherever. That axon has a sheath around it, just like copper wire. This sheet is actually made of fat. It's also made of cholesterol. So those cholesterol medications that you've been taking for centuries, that everyone says that they're so good for you, that they're preventing heart disease, well, bull. They're not. They're lowering cholesterol to your nerves, and they're actually killing your nervous system. But I digress. We have to have these to transport that signal back and forth. Okay? Your nerves have a blood supply. They need fuel, they need activation. Those are the two things your nerves need to survive. If something happens to that blood supply, you lose fuel, the nerve stops working. Hey, so if you take a blood vessel this big around, you put that much, and you put that much inflammation in there, blood flow gets restricted, nerves stop working. If you have a blood pressure issue and there's too much pressure in that system, so all we do is we take a medication and we reduce the amount of blood flow going through there. What's going to happen to these nerves? That's the link between blood pressure medication and peripheral neuropathy. So that's the basics. So when this breaks down, that's how we get a neuropathy. When it comes to actual neuropathy, we're going to talk about the feet, okay, because the feet are the most common. The most common cause is diabetes. The second most common cause is inflammation. And then third is medication induced. That's what I had. You've heard me tell that story before. Hey, but you have a nerve pathway. We're going to talk about this blue pathway right here. This blue pathway has a name called the large diameter afferent pathway, which in English means it's a really big nerve going up. And because this is a really big nerve going up, it's going to come from the feet. That is a foot. I did count. Those are our 5 toes. Hey, you have the feet. They're going to go up your leg. They're going to go in through your sciatic nerve, in through your pelvis, up in, eventually into your spinal cord. This circular looking thing here is a cross section of your spinal cord. It's like I took your spinal cord, I cut it this way, and we've now tipped it. So it's like you're looking down the tip of my marker. Okay, this is the back. This is the front. This large diameter afferent pathway is the biggest nerve you have in the human body. It's going to come into the back part of your spinal cord. and it's going to make a junction right here at a very specific and important part, and then it's going to go travel up through the back part of your spinal cord. It's going to cross over at your brain stem. The reason why I point and then eventually go to your brain. This is a 270 mile an hour pathway, meaning when I poke your toe with a pin, the signal ouch goes from your brain to your, I'm sorry, that's the wrong pathway. When I move your toe up and down and I check joint position sense or I check vibration sense, that signal is going to come from your toe to your brain at 270 miles an hour, so it's darn near instant. The other pathway here is the pain pathway. It's going to follow the same nerves. It's going to come down to that very specific part of your spinal column, and then it's going to cross over the level of your spinal cord and travel up and go to the brain. This is why this is so important. As your nerves die off, this large diameter afferent pathway dies first. So if you've got a blood pressure problem, this nerve pathway is going to be affected. If you are eating a standard American diet and you're not getting a proper fuel source, this pathway is going to be affected. If you're a full-blown type 2 diabetic, this pathway is affected. We need to fix that. Okay, so this is the culprit right here, and the reason why you feel the way you do is because this area right here is known as the pain gate. What I mean by that is, let's just pretend that inside this little circle is a kindergarten class. The red nerves represent the class. The blue nerves represent the teacher. As the teacher decreases in his or her function, what's going to happen to the kindergarten class? They're going to go nuts. They're going to become kindergartners and act like a bunch of 5-year-olds bouncing off the walls. So as this large diameter the blue pathway dies off, those red pathways are left unchecked. Your pain increases, especially at night. You go to lay down in bed at night, you're no longer firing those pathways, and you wake up in the morning with your feet on fire. You sit in the car and you drive 100 miles. By the time you get to your destination, you've been sitting for so long that your feet are hot, they're on fire. That's because this pathway is no longer in control and the pain pathway is. So if we're going to reverse neuropathy, if we're going to get this going in the appropriate direction, we got to change this. Okay, step one to changing this is to fix the gut. That's why I'm so big on diet. That's why I'm a big fan of certain supplements that we've talked about in this program. We got to fix this. We got to fix the fuel supply. Step two is we have to stimulate the nerves. You've seen in the course me talk about the muscle stim units that we use. They'll fire at the same frequency that this nerve pathway fires on, help bring it back, because if we're giving it fuel, we've got to activate it. This is why we do LED. I've recommended you buy the LED pads to keep it home, because you can actually put these on here and bring blood flow to the area. You can put them on your spine, increase that flow there. And there's home exercises as well that are important in this joint position sense. You know, the wobble boards, having your foot going back and forth like this while you're looking at your foot will actually reestablish those pathways. So give it the proper fuel, give it the proper activation, your pain will decrease, your nerves will actually start to come back. That's how we're going to make the biggest difference. So please reach out to me if you have questions, if you have concerns. Even if you're not part of the paid program, you know, the one-on-one coaching, you can still shoot us a message. If you're part of the paid program, we will discuss this on our next meeting, but you've got to understand this. I'll provide notes for you below. Thank you for joining me. I know that was kind of a long one, but it is super, super important. Thank you.